Hey everybody, welcome in. Welcome into the Thinking Crypto live stream. Great to have all of you. Apologies, we're starting a bit late. Some technical issues this morning, but it's all resolved now. Lots to talk about. There's some crazy crypto news, but of course, we want to talk about what's happened with the market, when we may see the next move up in the next bull rally that will pull, Bitcoin will lead and pull the altcoins with it. So, let's see who's in the chat here. We got third generation 3, Vadim, good morning. Op TRDR, welcome in. Metal Chew, yeah, sorry about being late. Eden Gardening Towers, good morning. Joseph Cole from looks like Canada, welcome in. Jonathan, welcome in. Great to have you. Glenn Miller, good morning. Michael Carter, welcome in. HBAR to 68 cents for sure. I'm with you on that. Eddie Lance, how are you? Though Eon, if I'm saying that right, good morning. Cal, great to have you. Sam Brunt, coming in from Sydney, Australia. Sam, I want to visit Australia one day. I'm really looking forward to that. Matthew Davis, welcome in. Good morning. Good to see all of you. It is another bullish day in the crypto market, folks. We got Lynette Colvin. Good morning. Great to have you, Lynette. We are still in the bull market, so don't worry. I know there's a lot of macro news of wars and much more, but those things don't necessarily stop bull markets. We're going to talk about the different metrics and signals you need to look at, of course. We got Alan Gordon, good morning. Jonathan Reyes, great to have you. Says, let's pump. Giant Empire Nation Studio, good to see you as well. And Matthew, we're going to cover some news. So let me move myself out the way a bit here. Bushing off. Good to see you. Folks, hit that thumbs up button, hit the heart button, hit the like button, the subscribe button, wherever you're watching and listening. We're streaming on YouTube, of course, Twitch, kick.com, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitch. We're everywhere. Rumble as well. So, to wherever you're tuning in, hit the heart, like button, thumbs up button, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. It helps support the podcast and it doesn't cost you anything, of course. Okay, guys. Now let's start with Bitcoin. Currently at 100 or trading over $107,000. That's good, but as always, I want to let these rallies show themselves or prove themselves, because the markets can easily fake us out. And what we've been tracking is the RSI and the daily chart. It is in a downtrend, right? There's no mistake about that. So we could see the price still roll over, go test 98K. I think that's a key support level, then bounce. So if you look at the overbought zone we were in back in December from the Q4 rally, see where that led us? All the way down, a downtrend to the oversold. Then we rallied out of that oversold zone. We went back to the overbought zone, and now we're coming out of the overbought, heading to the oversold. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean Bitcoin must hit the oversold zone, but the higher probability is that it will. So we could see Bitcoin continue to go down to 98K. All coins will, of course, follow Bitcoin. It's the gravitational pull. The liquidity starts coming out. And then we hit that oversold zone. And then what do we have? Another bounce. And I think that's the bounce that will take us to new highs for Bitcoin. And then we're going to see a lot of the other altcoins like your XRP, your Ethereum. Ethereum is a key chart to watch, folks, because ETH typically leads the majority of the altcoins later in the phase of the bull market. So if we're using the daily RSI, you see ETH got overheated recently. So now, or what I should say, overbought. And now it's on its way down to the oversold. Again, I hope you see the cyclical pattern playing out here. This is simple pattern recognition. And you don't have to be an expert Wall Street trader or analyst to understand this. These are things and signals that you can bookmark, and you can go and look at it at any time. TradingView is where I pull these charts. It's 100% free. You sign up, you go look at these charts. You can pull it up for stocks, any crypto asset, and you just look at the RSI and you look at the MACD and things like that. And while it's not the only metrics we should pay attention to, it could give you an idea where we're at and what's happening with the market. So Overall, though, guys, there hasn't been any invalidation of the bull market and the key support levels. So I want to make sure you understand that. A very simple one is the 200-day moving average. We are clearly above that. Even if we go down and test 98K and we bounce off of it, we're fine. If we are like what we've seen in previous bear markets, below the 200-day moving average, and we're in a downtrend, we are in a bear market. But when we are above it, if I can undo this here, when we are above it and comfortably above it and in a uptrend, we are in a bull market. So clearly we're in an uptrend, right? But there will be an ultimate blow off top where everything will roll over below the 200-day moving average. It's like clockwork. So even if you look at the Ethereum chart, we're consolidating right at the 200-day moving average. If you look at the XRP chart, same thing, right? So if we're in a downtrend below that, it's time to panic, right? Sound the alarm, but nothing like that is happening. So still in a bull market. If you look at Bitcoin from the higher time frame, which is the weekly, you can see the weekly RSI is also in a very good area where it shows we have potential for further upside, because in Q4, we are in that overbought zone on the weekly, and we cooled down. We went down to not even the oversold, just a little bit above it. We started coming out of it. So on the weekly, you even see that the respective levels that are needed for a continuation of the bull market are there. So a simple metric like the RSI can really help you navigate the market cycles. Now, the other factor is the MACD on the weekly still looks very bullish, and we're still in the green here. Bulls still have control. Now, I would love to see the green bars, which are an indication of the momentum that bulls have, turn a bit more dark green. They've been going from dark to light green. That's not a good sign, but that doesn't mean it can't reverse. We've seen this before. It can easily reverse. So hopefully the downside for Bitcoin is not as bad as, that as far as probability that it could play out. Hopefully that once again, we just go test 98K and then bounce, or Bitcoin doesn't need to do that, and it just finds some support level here at this consolidation point and then keeps going. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I'm just giving you the scenarios. And as an educated, informed investor, you want to be prepared for multiple scenarios. Now, that's on the micro or the short term. Obviously, from the macro, we are headed to higher highs based on multiple factors. Now, if you look at the monthly chart, that looks bullish, guys. The higher time frame here, notice we haven't hit the overbought zones on the monthly chart like we've seen at previous bull market cycle tops. So we still have room to run here. Obviously, the MACD is in the green, and you can see the bulls are in control versus the bear markets where the bears are in control. See, pattern recognition, simple pattern recognition using these signals, right? You see how the RSI is in the major green zone here? That's the overbought zone. We haven't even come near it compared to these past bull market cycles. So it requires a lot of patience, right? When you look at this, it is slow like molasses almost, right? It's what do you call that? Sloth, right? It's sloth's pace. It is a bit painstaking at time, but that's where you step away from the charts. Don't look at it. But the key takeaways here, we're still on track. We're still in the bull market. We just got to go through the volatility. Unfortunately, that's the nature of markets, right? Now, a good sign, in as far as signals that we've been tracking, the stock market, we know Bitcoin, stock market, and other risk assets are all correlated to global liquidity. So we saw the stock market do a beautiful V-shaped recovery here. It's consolidating right here. So we're seeing across the board very good signals showing the continuation of the bull market. The same thing with the NASDAQ, V-shaped recovery, right? So it's not just one index, it's all of them. The Dow Jones, while it's not as strong, still out of there, still hanging out above or right below or consolidating at that 200-day moving average. Gold, which has been sort of a leading indicator because of global liquidity, also continuing to perform well. So again, all the signs are there for the validation of the bull market is still intact. Here's another one, the DXY. It is currently below 98, continuing to show a lot of weakness and room for downside, which, as we've seen in previous bull markets, the inverse correlation. Risk assets perform well when the DXY is in a downtrend. And the flip side of that is if the DXY is starting to pump, risk assets are not doing well. So these are all great signs. And another one is that Bitcoin dominance, despite faking us out in May with its big drop, it started recovering. So it's still rising, and it could continue to rise until Bitcoin hits a local top again, like it did in Q4. Notice the big downside here, and then the liquidity starts to flow to altcoins. So many of you are altcoin holders, so you're waiting to see the Bitcoin dominance fall. But right now it's climbing, so indicating Bitcoin's going to steal the show a bit. And then, even though it may pull back some, it will steal the show by grabbing all the liquidity, start making new highs, go to 120 to 130, 40,000, that range. I don't know the exact local top. And then it hits the overbought, starts correcting, all coins start going bananas, right? These are patterns we've seen. We just saw it in Q4. So you see how all these data points align to the market movements in prices. This is why we're using the data, not our feelings and our emotions, not because the sun is out today or it's not out today. That's not how we invest. We look at the data. So things are still on track here. In addition, USDT dominance. So this is stablecoin liquidity. We know the majority of stablecoin liquidity that enters Bitcoin and altcoins comes from Tether. And in the past, just simply two rallies we've seen in this bull market, one in January through March of 2024 with the Bitcoin ETF launch. Notice the big collapse, right? Then the liquidity flows back to the stablecoins. Then big collapse in Q4. That was the big rally we had, right? Bitcoin crossing 100,000, XRP, all these coins pumping. Then the rotation back to the stablecoins. The supply goes up again. And while we had a bit of a kind of a fake out similar to the Bitcoin dominance, it is consolidating right now. So what we're waiting for to see, will this rise a bit more, then collapse? And that could take us into the rally we're waiting for, right? The timing of Bitcoin bottoming out and pumping, and then altcoins follow. You should see the Tether dominance start to collapse. So these are things I'm looking at, and it all indicates bull market. We're still in the midst of it, despite macro uncertainty with wars and other things. This is what you want to be looking at, because there's going to be a lot of narratives selling you fear. Mainstream media is going to sell you fear, but go back to the data, right? I always say leave your emotions at the door. So all good stuff here. In addition, global liquidity, as I mentioned earlier, continues to rise. So Raoul Pal and the folks at Global Macro Investor provided this updated global liquidity chart showing the global M2, and you can see Bitcoin has been following it. And we're using Bitcoin as the measuring stick, but if you put the entire crypto market cap, it will show the same thing, that it's following it. You do it with the stock market, it would be following this. So here you see there's room for more upside, and potentially, there's not a guarantee, potentially this could take Bitcoin to $160,000, $170,000. Now, global liquidity could continue to rise, and maybe it takes Bitcoin to 200, right? We'll just have to wait and see how things played out. But you can see here, the data doesn't lie. It's following it. So the next rally is coming. Just got to be patient, right? Patience is such an important thing in investing. But you can see the, kind of the, how should I put it? The chop or the peaks and valleys here. And it's like risk assets like Bitcoin are almost following it, even in the pullbacks. So let's see how this plays out. No guarantees, but the data is showing us there's a higher probability of bull market continuing, higher prices here. And on-chain data from Sentiment shows us Bitcoin whales continue to accumulate. There was a very big spike at the at the end of May and in early June, a bit of a pullback, but they've been slowly on the rise. So again, the data doesn't lie. It's showing the accumulation taking place. If whales are exiting the market, then I would say, okay, something's wrong. They know something. They know this thing is wrapping up. So we're still in the bull market, folks. And This morning, I don't know if many of you caught Alessio Rastani's update about Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I highly recommend you follow him. He does great chart analysis. He does a lot of Elliott wave theory, just simply with Ethereum, right? And we're using Ethereum because many altcoins follow Ethereum's move. That's, like I said, later in the bull market cycles, when ETH starts to move, it's a very good thing for all altcoins. Remember, a lot of altcoins are built on Ethereum as ERC20. So in using Elliott wave theory, and for this in the short term, I think to a local top, he's showing here a pullback to a wave 4. So pullback in Ethereum's price, then a big move to a wave 5, taking us up to near $3,600. This would be very good for altcoins. And Bitcoin, like I said, will lead the market. But then as ETH starts to move, this is very good for altcoins. So a bit of patience, folks, and kind of a dump, if you want to call it that, before the pump. So just be patient, have the macro view. You can see on this chart analysis, this thing takes us into July, into August. I think the entire timeline has been shifted for the market because of the tariff uncertainty. With Bitcoin pulling back after the Q4 rally, that was very healthy. That was normal. The problem is it got extended. That pullback and correction got extended because the tariff uncertainty hit all markets, right? And everything. I mean, even the stock market, right? You look at what happened with the stock market, Jesus, right? So Bitcoin didn't even take that big of a hit as the stock market did, because obviously the stock market includes businesses which are affected directly by tariffs and how we do trade and all that, while Bitcoin is a hedge, an asset. It is not directly affected by tariffs, but it is affected by uncertainty, people panicking and fear and all of that. So that's where we're at, folks. We're still in the bull market. So hit that thumbs up button for the bull market. Before we get into the crazy news I want to share with you guys, check out our sponsors, Uphold. Great place to buy and sell crypto, also to stake crypto. They have 300 plus cryptocurrencies. I've been using them since 2018. You can get all your cryptocurrencies on there. Trezor, they are the maker of beautiful hardware wallets that allow you to easily and safely store your crypto. I'm a user of the product. I personally use the Trezor Safe 5. They support a variety of tokens. Their wallets are open source. And folks, you can use the code ThinkingCrypto, all one word, ThinkingCrypto, to get 5% off purchasing a device. Also, check out Proppy. They're putting real estate on chain, the world's largest asset class, going on blockchain, folks. And you can buy and sell on Proppy real estate, and you can accept crypto. So if you want to sell your property for XRP or Bitcoin, you can do that. And of course, they're tokenizing deeds, and they're creating NFTs for properties, and they're using Coinbase for their crypto escrow and much more. So I'm a Proppy token holder, by the way. I have been since 2018. And check out VeChain, one of the top layer 1 enterprise blockchains, where many brands such as BMW, Walmart, China, and much more are building cool Web3 technologies. So check them out. Link will be in the description. Also, check out my free email newsletter, my book on Amazon, and my course at mycryptocourse.com. Okay, folks, let's talk some news. So, which seems, like the standard now, every week or so in the bull market, Michael Saylor and Strategy are purchasing Bitcoin. They bought another 10,100 Bitcoin for approximately $1.05 billion. Look at the price at where they're buying it. So I think we can see they are anticipating higher prices. So this is a signal. Once again, we want to look at multiple signals to form the picture, right? Use all the puzzle pieces, not just one or two. I wouldn't be confident that we are in a bull market just because Michael Saylor is buying, but it's this plus the 10 other items I was sharing with you guys. Now, here's another signal. Trump's Truth Social has filed for a dual Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF. I tweeted out this morning, it doesn't matter if you love or hate Trump. Put that to the side. Trump is about making money. That we can't deny. Would he be doing this if the bull market's over? Hell no, he wouldn't be doing this. And again, it doesn't matter what your feelings are towards the man, right? But just simply read between the lines here. He's not doing this to lose money. He's looking to make money. His kids and much more are involved here. So they see further upside. They know crypto legislation's coming. Possibly the stablecoin bill could get passed tomorrow in the Senate. We've got a lot of major news items lined up, ETF approvals and much more. Now, this is crazy. Tron, Justin Suns Tron, plans to go public and form a MSTR, MicroStrategy type company with Eric Trump. This is wild. So they're planning to go public via a reverse merger. This is being reported by the Financial Times. And apparently Eric Trump, Donald Trump's sons, or one of his sons, is expected to take a role at the company. I mean, this is wild. This is like one of those things you don't expect in your on your 2025 bingo card, right? So I personally wouldn't necessarily get involved. Look, I'm not hating on Tron, but Justin Sun has done some kind of weird stuff over time. But look, if Eric Trump is involved, maybe it's going to be, done well, I would say. But let's see. But this is crazy. I can't believe it. Tron is going to go public. And Eric Trump is going to be participating. So it's pretty wild. Now, this is pretty interesting. So you have many companies now who are doing corporate treasury for altcoins, right? We got XRP, we got Ethereum, and of course, Solana. Well, apparently Cantor Fitzgerald, Matthew Siegel of VanEck is reporting, initiates on Solana treasury companies with outperform ratings. So the companies that are holding Solana on their balance sheet, it looks like they're going to initiate coverage of that, which is interesting. So they said Solana-oriented balance sheets deserve bigger premiums than BTC's companies due to the native revenue opportunities and higher volatility. Wow, that's interesting. So I guess they're saying the staking gives you more revenue opportunities, and but they said higher volatility as well. So this is interesting. We'll see how it plays out. It's what I've been saying for a long time. It'll start with Bitcoin, then it'll go to altcoins, and you can see it's clearly playing out like that. So very fascinating. And on that note, Hong Kong's meme strategy, the name and correlation here couldn't be perfect, becomes the first Hong Kong listed company to invest in the Solana ecosystem, acquiring 2,440 SOL worth approximately 2.9 million Hong Kong dollars. Folks, the bull market is not over. The bull market is not over. Hit the thumbs up for that. Hit the thumbs up button. Hit the heart button, the like button. These companies, they know further upsides coming. And yes, there will be a bear market, and I'm sure they'll take their profits and they'll do their respective updates accordingly. But this is fascinating. Meme strategy and all the meme coins that are in Solana. So very interesting move here. And look at this. Vietnam passes law officially recognizing crypto assets. We are seeing global adoption of crypto, governments and central banks embracing crypto, building with it, allowing it to be fostered in their country to boost innovation and jobs. So they're not banning it, right? So if you're still on the fence about crypto, wake up. The world is moving ahead. Forget about mainstream headlines. Just go read the actual facts coming out from these governments and different folks. It's amazing. So I am bullish, folks. I am so bullish. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button and you subscribe, because we are still in a bull market. And like I said, there could be room for further downside here before we go higher. So just have that mental note. Could we see the RSI, do something like that, break down a bit further and hit that oversold zone, maybe around here, not even down to 30, but like 40, and then bounce? It's possible. So just be prepared for all these things, folks. But the macro is beautiful. The setup is really nice here. What's happening, folks? Once again, check out our sponsors. Uphold, great place to buy, sell, and stake your crypto. Trezor, I'm a big believer in self-custody. Check out their hardware wallets. Really great. Use the code ThinkingCrypto, all one word, to get 5% off. Check out Proppy. I'm a Proppy token holder. They're leading the charge of putting real estate on chain. Check out VeChain, one of the top layer one enterprise blockchains partnered with UFC and Dana White, being used by big brands to build Web3 technology. So check it out. Check out my newsletter on Substack, 100% free, my book on Amazon, and my course at mycryptocourse.com. Okay, I'm going to answer some questions in the chat here. Hey, Rafi, fellow Bergen County resident. Great to see you, Rafi. Yeah, I mean, if you caught my interview with Luigi from Ava Labs, which works on Avalanche, we talk about the Bergen County tokenization of $290 billion in real estate on the Avalanche blockchain. So check that out. That interview was published this morning. And we're just seeing mass adoption globally, folks. It's exciting. Fred Williams says, great show, Tony. Thanks, Fred. Just finished work. Is it too early for Ripple news in the US? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Fred. Like news from today? Because there's been a lot of big news around Ripple recently with a lot of companies using XRP as a treasury reserve asset. Kieran says, hey, Tony, where do you see us in late August? Just getting going or just wrapping up? That's a great question, Kieran, and I wish I could give you the the absolute answer. Unfortunately, I'm in the watch and see mode because some are calling for the blow off top, come this rally that is going to happen. It seems like July into August, but it could be a local top and there can be a continuation into late Q3 and Q4, right? Kind of the market cycles playing out. So we'll have to wait and see. I will be taking profits at certain price points regardless, because no one can call the exact top, but we're going to look at sentiment. We're going to look at the on-chain data, what the whales are doing. And we're going to look at different metrics like the Pi cycle top indicator. We're going to look at the RSI on the monthly and even the weekly to see, hey, are we getting overheated like we did at the top of previous bull markets? All of these metrics, right? We're going to use multiple metrics to validate where we're at and if there's room for more upside, or that's it. It's show over, wrap it up, right? So that's my honest answer, because I'm in the same boat with you guys. I'm looking to make as much money out of this bull market as possible, but I don't have a crystal ball and I can only go off the data I have today and what we've seen in the past. So that's why I can confidently say that today we're still in the bull market based on this data, what we've seen in the past. Now, maybe could Bitcoin get so aggressive? Could the bull market heat up because there's some major catalyst and the blow off top happens in August? It's possible. Now, I would say the higher probability is on it happening in Q4, because that's how the market, as far as timeline, has played out historically. So history gives us the higher probability of that happening then, but we got to still wait and see and validate all these things. Judge's decision on XRP. Was there something new about that? Let's see. Let's see here. For some reason, my keyboard keeps giving me problems on live streams. So let's see. Some people are saying here, according to John Deaton, Judge Torres has a 70% chance of granting Ripple's most recent motion. Torres could grant this motion today, and Ripple could finally get their deserved win against the SEC. So let's see. Yeah, maybe we get some news today on this. At the end of the day, though, this is I shouldn't say non-starter. That's probably not the right word, but this is a non-factor for adoption. You see multiple companies building on the XRP ledger, tokenizing, right? Using XRP as a corporate strategy. That's because the SEC has given up. That's it. It's over, right? They don't have the regulator hounding them. Just the judge has to do the paperwork here. Let's be honest, right? The SEC and Ripple agreed to wrap this up. Judge Torres is pushing back a bit, and I understand why. But at the end of the day, the government and the SEC is not hunting Ripple anymore. So it's clear runway, and it's just a matter of wrapping up some loose ends with Judge Torres to get this going. Hashem, great to see you. Thank you for the comment. What is your Cardano price prediction? So Cardano, I think many of you heard recently, Charles Hoskinson is saying he wants to liquidate some ADA tokens to have Bitcoin and some stable coins as treasury. So we'll see. Look, Cardano showed some strength in the Q4 rally, but not as strong as other altcoins. I would have liked to see more strength there, and I am an ADA token holder. But, based on its current price point and where it hit its all-time high of $3, we're not far from there. So I absolutely believe, and that's not a guarantee, but I believe based on percentage gains and what Cardano is looking to do, it could break its all-time high. How high it gets, I don't know, because you got other altcoins doing really well, like XRP, Solana, and ETH is starting to wake up. But, Cardano could do a late bull run rally, and could it get to $5, $4 or $5? That's possible, maybe higher. We'll have to wait and see. As always, there's no guarantee a coin has to break its all-time high in enterprise discovery. You would want it to, and this is where narratives come into play. This is where activity on the chain, the adoption, is it getting adoption and all these things comes into play. So let's see. Like I said, I'm a token holder, so the higher the price goes, the better for me. But even if, I often share this with you guys, even if you bought down here, if you bought down here in the bloody bear market, and even if Cardano just even retraces to its all-time high of $3, you've made money, right? Because that's a big gain. So it's also about your entry price. If you bought the top of the previous bull market, okay, then you're praying that it breaks to new highs and enters price discovery and hits, Fibonacci levels like the 2.618 and things like that. So it's a lot of it depends on entry price. So smart money, they are buying all down here, all the blood. And then even if this thing doesn't even go to $3, and let's say it goes to $2.50 or $2, boom, profit taking, right? So these are the things to keep in mind. Thanks, Kieran. Appreciate that. Cyberhawk, he's waiting for the judge's news. Yeah, for sure. Jamie says, did you check out Chris Giancarlo's show at Old 76? Oh, I didn't. Oh, man, I totally forgot to follow up with him. I should have bookmarked that or put it on my calendar. I totally didn't check it out. The XRP case is over. I'm tired of people acting like it. Yeah, it's over. Like I said, the adoption news we're seeing even tells you that, because many companies, right, they have their lawyers and who are going to flag things that are a risk. And this is why during the Ripple case, we said this is going to screw Ripple over, because no one's going to want to build on the XRP ledger because they don't want to get in trouble, right? These companies are going to be risk averse. They don't want to get a lawsuit. They don't want to lose out on revenue and all these things. So, but as of right now, I don't think anybody cares. When I say that, I mean the general public, right? Oh, that the Judge Torres hasn't done this paperwork. The SEC dropped the case. That's the big thing. So, Cyberhawk says XRP's ripping. Let's see. Maybe there's a bit of a news, a move on the news, right? That potential good news. So a good sign, like I mentioned earlier, XRP held above the 200-day moving average, which is very good. Bull market territory. Even though it's below it right now, it's just consolidating sideways chop. So if it was in a downtrend, then I'd be like, okay, oh man, that's not good. But you can see here, it's having a move today, and that could take it back above the 200-day moving average. And boy, I'm anticipating, your $8 to $10, even if it just gets to $7 to $8, man, that's going to be really nice profits for me. I've been accumulating since like 10 cents and 15 cents. I've been a long-term holder. Obviously, I didn't liquidate any profits in the 2021 bull market because we didn't hit any all-time highs. And I figured, look, I got in so low, I don't care. I'm just going to hold it and ride it through. And that was a wise decision. and I'm diversified. So I made money on other tokens, even though XRP didn't make me returns in the 2021 bull market, or not as much as I wanted. I'm anticipating really nice returns this cycle. So not guaranteed, right? But I think the setup is there. Captain Kurt says, yeah, I got to pay your dues. It's time in the market. Captain Kurt says, tomorrow is ETF news. Are you talking about Solana and XRP? I'm not sure, but I know tomorrow we have the Senate vote on stablecoin, so that could be really big for the market. XRP, John T says, no ETF for XRP if judge tells them to redo. I'm not sure about that, because remember, the XRP futures went live despite Judge Torres not wrapping up anything. So I don't think that matters, because remember, the SEC, they are the ones in charge of it. And if they're not hunting Ripple and they don't have any problems with Ripple anymore, there's no reason. I don't think Judge Torres could stop an ETF. And once again, the futures went live, right? She could. Why did the futures market go live if she didn't wrap up the papers, right? So these are things to think about. So yeah, folks, once again, still in the bull market. And I am anticipating higher prices. We just got to go through this volatility and be patient. I know it's hard, but got to do it. I'm excited about Flare as well. You see a lot of Flare updates coming out where you got DeFi being set up on Flare for XRP to get yield and DeFi utility. So I'm bullish on the Flare token as well. I think it can do well. I'm currently delegating my Flare tokens and earning passive rewards there. I'll be liquidating, being transparent, you guys, at the peak of the cycle, taking profits off of that. Yeah, my pleasure, Mikal or Mikat, if I'm saying that right. Yeah, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate the support. Folks, hit the thumbs up button, hit the heart button, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, wherever you're watching and listening. Lots of big news, of course. And we're waiting for this market to find some strength. But like I said, we could have some more downside before we see the true move upside. So just be mentally prepared. Kieran says, Tony, apologies if we've spoken about it. Do you see retail normies coming in this cycle like last time, or is big institution filling the void this time? No, I do see them coming back. We saw, if you go to Google Trends, some of them came back. If I can get this right. My keyboard is going bonkers when it comes to live streams. I gotta fix that. Okay. Let's do crypto. Okay, last 12 months, right? Let's look at Google Trends. So look at what happened in Q4. The interest was there. Many came back due to meme coins and things like that. So that is a bit different this cycle with the meme coins, but one could argue it's the NFTs of last cycle. So there's definitely interest there. I think as we get to the true euphoric phase, the dumb money crowd comes in and we're going to see highs for sure. So let's do Bitcoin as well. And let's see what that looks like. Yeah, so you see the interest did spike when the prices were going up. So BlackRock was here and all those folks were here, but retail absolutely showed interest. If we go back, so in the 2020 bull runs and then into 2021, you see you had those spikes, right? And then let's see. And then we started seeing, and then you had the bear market. Then you started seeing spikes in 2023, then of course 2024. So we haven't hit the blow off top. This spike here, or these huge spikes, this was near the blow off top. So that's when you had true euphoria and greed. And here we haven't had that yet. We got a taste of it. So it's going to come. This is why the macro is important as well. I think when certain things have been resolved and, like tariffs and even some sense of the war and all these things wrapping up, it should bring in the crowd again. And things will get euphoric as well. Yep, no problem, Kieran. So at this point, folks, it is a waiting game. I know many of you don't want to hear that, but this is the nature of the beast. If you want to make those gains, and look, I'm in the boat with you guys, right? I started buying down here for many coins, and my portfolio is up. Don't get me wrong, my portfolio looks good, but you kind of get used to the new higher levels. Okay, my portfolio jumped from here to here, but then it went down a bit. It jumped up again, it's down a little bit, right? You become used to the fact that your portfolio is the value is up and it's down a bit. We're all human, right? We all go through it. But when in doubt, zoom out. This thing's been running, specifically Bitcoin, since January 2023, folks. So this is why I always recommend having some Bitcoin in your portfolio. You don't have to hold one whole entire Bitcoin. You can buy a fraction of it, and it doesn't have to be the majority of your portfolio. Majority of my portfolio is altcoins, but I got Bitcoin, which has been carrying my portfolio significantly. And obviously Solana and ETH and XRP have been carrying it a good amount of time in the latter half of 2024, because those tokens, their prices started rallying. So Solana, I think, is going to pop off soon. Its chart looks good, but just like XRP and ETH, they're all consolidating around the 200-day moving average. So there could be a bit of a down price movement before the pop off, because they follow Bitcoin. So just got to be patient. You just really got to be patient. Zach B says, do you foresee a decline in Bitcoin dominance similar to the 2021 drop? It's been up since November 2022. My altcoin bag needs a pump. Yeah, so we talked about that earlier. So let's pull it up. Okay, so Bitcoin dominance, right, for the most part, will lead the entire market. To your point, it's been going up since January 2023. And guess what? That's normal. But what you're going to see along the way are these drops, these big drops, which indicate that altcoins could rally a bit. This happened in January 2024 with the ETF launch, the lead up to that. But look at this, Q4. Notice the drop, right? A bigger one that we've seen before. And then XRP and all the altcoins started to rally. Earlier in May, we started to see some sort of steep drop here, but then it recovered. So what we're looking for, to your point, is the bigger drop. So this is where we got to be patient. It will collapse because there's going to be a rotation of liquidity. The whales, the market makers, they know how they have to make money here, right? And Bitcoin alone is not going to make it for them. So you kind of have to trust the process that this is going to go up, maybe goes to 70, right? And then you see the massive drop that we saw in 2021. Exactly what you're talking about, right? In 2021, the big drop, and then altcoins went bonkers. So that's the thing to keep in mind. And this is where patience comes in. So what Zach B's talking about, folks, what we saw here, Zach is looking for that to happen soon for Bitcoin so that the altcoins can go bonkers. And we'll have to wait and see. So you see, this is why the patience game is a big part of investing. Bitcoin dominance, we got a taste of it dropping in Q4, but not the big ultimate drop, right? So I hear you, Zach B. Lynette says, I think I messed up on my Flare drop. I have some Flare in my Coinbase account, but I was supposed to do something else to get all my Flare. I'm not sure, Lynette, about Coinbase. It sounds like Coinbase gave you some, and then I think you were supposed to move it to a wallet that allows you to delegate so that you can continue to get the airdrops. Yeah, because that's what I do. I use, let me pull up the app here. It is Bifrost. So I use the Bifrost wallet. It's a self-hosted wallet, by the way. So you got to make sure you got your private keys and all that stuff backed up. And I currently delegate Flare as well as Songbird. So yes, Lynette, I don't know if you can still do that. Yeah, I think you can. I would contact the folks at Flare. You can email them or message them on X. Shitoshi Kusama. Isn't that person trying to be like private, like they're pseudo anonymous or kind of an anonymous person? I'm not sure. I haven't really read too much on that, but just as far as I remember, I don't think, is it a real person? Is it, some people are saying it was Vitalik or something like that. Frank says, I trust Capital or Fidelity. Which would you recommend for crypto 401k? Frank, I have not used I Trust Capital, but I have used Fidelity, so I can only say Fidelity. And that's just based on my experience, because I have honestly not used I Trust Capital. When do you think the circle will pick? Javier, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Exler says, in layman's terms, what does it mean for Truth Social's Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF to be active? Okay, let me pull it up here. So essentially, they're launching a dual ETF where people can invest in it and they get exposure to Bitcoin and Ethereum, just like BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF or any other ETF that maybe covers a specific sector or index of the stock market. So they're going to be able to make money off of it, right? So they're going to create an ETF product that competes with the other issuers, and people can go buy and get exposure to these assets via the ETF. So that's pretty much it. Just like any other ETF that you can go on a stock trading platform and get access to now. Fred Williams says, Tony, I don't know if you meant, I honestly don't think the drops will be severe. Yeah, I don't expect it to be as well. I mean, I think the big scare was the tariffs, right? And we saw how the markets reacted. Bitcoin, not so much, but that was the big one. Honestly, I don't think it could get worse than that, because you had the global uncertainty with the tariffs and all countries, going at each other and much more. Good to see you in and out, crypto. Josh Clark says, do you have any thoughts on HBAR? Yeah, absolutely. I'm an HBAR token holder, so I want HBAR to do really well. The good news is no bias, right? Once again, I hold in my portfolio, but no bias. Look at that chart. That's a nice chart. In the Q4 rally, this thing picked up a lot of strength and caught up to the rest of the market. It was not doing nothing. Look at this, down near its bear market lows, and everybody's like, come on, H bar, come on, do something. And then boom, big rally. That was a huge move. It is consolidating around its 200-day moving average, is a very good sign. And from a percentage standpoint, it is not far from the old all-time high of about 58 cents, right? So it can easily, without much liquidity or effort, break the all-time high. And I am hoping for $1.50 H bar, possibly higher, but I'll take $1. I'll take $1.50. That'll be really nice. All right, folks. I'm gonna wrap up in a minute or so. It's been about an hour here, and lots going on. So once again, check out our sponsors: Uphold, Trezor, Propy, VeChain. Check out my newsletter on Substack, 100% free. Sign up for that. Check out my book on Amazon and my course at mycryptocourse.com. All the links will be in the description, folks. Thank you for your support. And like I said, be patient. We're still in the bull market. All the respective factors are there. If you're now tuning into the stream, you can go back and watch the beginning. I covered a lot of the factors, the data now, not feelings or emotions, of why we're still in the bull market, what may happen next. And that is, we may see further downside for Bitcoin and the alts, not much, then bounce. So just be prepared for that. And, we of course covered Bitcoin dominance, and we're looking for that big waterfall like we saw in 2021, where alts are going to go crazy. So we haven't even seen anything like that. The closest, which is really not even close, Q4, the big drop in Q4 with Bitcoin rallied, many coins like XRP rallied. So thank you, Josh. I appreciate that. Yeah, for sure, Zach. All right, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. I have to run. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for the support over the years, and wishing you all the best of luck in this bull market, that you make incredible returns, folks. So I will talk to you all later.